good evening and welcome to a very foggy at the moment Barcelona in the Catalonia region of Spain, where you join us at the broadcasting lounge for some brilliant, as usual, HPR action tonight. As we get down to track level, we can see the track a little bit better and some cars rolling out of pit lane in the warm-up session tonight. GT3 and GTP class cars going at it tonight as usual in our HPR series, and we are looking forward to some incredible racing. And we're going to have a little bit of a different person up the top in GTP because Stefan McCartan hasn't come along tonight. What's going on there, Corey?
I'm not too sure. Maybe he's shit the bed. Just had to do some watching. Who knows? Anyway, yeah, we're circuit Barcelona. Looking forward to this one. It's a good layout, the historic version, and obviously a little bit of fog. But according to Cheryl, the it's just going to end up being partly cloudy. So hopefully the fog will lift and we'll be able to see some of these beautiful cars around this historic version of Barcelona, the GP circuit. So apparently, somebody said, might have been you, Shane, that they've gone back to this version for the GP cars now.
Yeah, they sure have. So they added a few years ago, added a silly little chicane around the back end of the circuit, which was done with the intention, I believe, of slowing the cars down coming onto the long front straight in the hope that it might
My
get them a
bad,
little bit
sorry.
closer to each other. In the end, that didn't work out, and
You're all right,
eventually,
mate. Oh, just,
with the
yeah,
new
I
cars
don't know
as
what I
well, I
did there.
think it was an opportunity for them to switch the
Nothing
layout
but
back
come near me,
to
mate.
to the
Stay
more
away.
traditional layout at that part of the track. And they also have gone to the wider swing at the end of the back straight that we're using on this layout tonight as well. So this is, aside from a few modifications that they made to get back there for Formula One, this is very close to the current Formula One layout that they run.
Wicked. Yeah, so real life conditions out there looking foggy. So all the headlights are on, so you'll be able to see the cars. But early in the morning here, and yeah, so according to Cheryl, there's going to be no rain for this round. What round are we in the championship, Shana?
I believe we're around 9. That's what I put in the information, so I hope that's correct. Um, but yeah, so getting in towards the business end of the season now with 3 rounds remaining after this one. And we've
And
got,
this is the GTP qualifying results up on the screen there. Taylor Mitchell grabbing himself pole position tonight with Michael van der Haas alongside him. On the second row, Aaron Goodrick, Matthew Gerard, Jack Hintz and Rydolph Jenkins, Dan Turner and Uncle Jonathan. Oh, there's a lot of Team West cars there. Wayne Hartnell and Thomas McCall. There's a 5 in a row.
we're used to seeing them all together, aren't we? And Nico Cordia taking pole in GT3 tonight, so very good performance from Nico around here. Blake Greenhill just behind him will line up alongside. Leith Swinney third on the grid from Brett O'Keefe. Darren Lobb, who we're used to seeing right at the front and is leading the championship, but sitting down in fifth on the grid in GT3, so maybe not quite finding his pace in qualifying, and we'll have to see if he can work his way up from there. Just behind him is Jason Bigby. Then we've got Bruce Tannock. Lobby said during the stream he was going to try and talk Bruce into coming along tonight, and it looks like Lob's a man of his word. Daniel
Probably
Johnson
didn't have
there.
to try very hard.
Shane McLeod ninth, and Steve Darren rounds out the top 10 for GTP. And then we roll back to Chris Daluski, Nathan Gardner, Sean McNamara, and Peter Vanderberg. Potentially Steve Arthur rounding out the grid. I know Scott Pickering did leave just before qualifying.
Well, maybe you're watching, Scott.
Alright, so we can get rid of that and we can see the cars gridding up down there. A little short formation lap rolling off from the back straight here. So they'll navigate the final sector of the circuit before they then get the green flag from our flag man. Always very tense these moments when you're in car, isn't it, Corey? Getting in car and waiting for that field to roll away and get the race underway.
It is, yep. You're normally holding onto your steering wheel, thinking about your any last minute strategy changes. Looking at what other drivers have done too. If there's going to be rain, obviously looking at what tyres and all of those shenanigans. But once you get going, it's one of those tracks where you've got to get into a flow.
Absolutely. The other thing I find when you're sitting on the grid waiting to get going is looking at who's around me, who of those guys is likely to cause an incident, who do I need to watch out for.
Yes, yeah, driver awareness is definitely key, and track position, of course.
And you try and plan out where you're going to go on the start, and 99.99% of the time the plan changes as soon as the green flag comes out.
It does, because there's always somebody else that's got a chess move on you.
Absolutely. So they're just rolling down through the last couple of corners now. Safety car fields off to pit lane. Taylor Mitchell's going to have control of the field as he brings them around onto the front straight. And he's going to go nice and early as they take the green flag now. And immediately breaking that toe.
Well, I don't think there would have been much toe there. Here we go into the first corner here. It's a right-hander straight into a left.
Yeah, they all pile in there through the first set of corners, and we can pan back around to see Blake Greenhall and Nico Cordier going side by side for the lead in GT3. A little bit of contact and Blake's going to get the momentum.
BJ just trying to get round on the inside there on Nico, so they'll be coming up to the right-hander down here where he's going to have the right away. No, he slipped in behind.
Yeah, so very exciting start in GT3. We can jump back up to the GTP class, and it's a couple of MRX cars leading the way. Taylor Mitchell just ahead of Aaron Goodrick. We've got Michael van der Haas just pulling off to the side there and letting a few cars go by. So Michael having some issues in the bad time Porsche there.
Yeah, maybe a slowdown there. There must have been an issue for Darren Lopez. He ended up at the back of the pack. I'm not too sure what happened there. Something must have happened at the start.
Oh, you know what I'm seeing is after the green flag, Darren Lobb left pit lane, so he has started from the pits.
Ah, right, there we go. That explains it. 14th in class. So that'll be, he's started from pit lane. He's playing the catch-up game. We're back up the front here with the Gin, Aaron Goodrick sitting in second in GTP class. Taylor Mitchell wearing the same dress in front of him.
Absolutely.
And of course, MRX weekly sponsor. So
I was just about to say that. MRX, Nick Mitchell will be very happy to see two of his guys out front on his race week sponsor week.
Yeah, that definitely it completes the picture.
Oh,
and
Taylor running a
Matthew Gerard. Matthew Gerard has really come into his own in the GTP class this season. He's obviously with the Velocity SimLab team now, and he has definitely improved over the last couple of seasons, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really has, and showing good form in the GTP here, running third in class, third overall as well. Obviously no Stefan tonight, and we would normally expect him to be pretty comfortably out the front, but Matthew taking advantage of Stefan not being here, and he will be hoping he might be able to pick up a podium. But another guy who we've seen normally races better than he qualifies, and is already sitting in fourth position, up one spot from where he started is Jack Hintz, so I'm sure he's going to be keen to try and get himself onto another podium as well.
Yeah, he's always out there fighting to the end, Jack. Whether it's the first or the last lap, he's putting in the same effort every race. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Matthew Gerard with the fastest lap of the race that time round with a 1:29.59.
Well, that's a good effort.
Having a look over the biggest movers, and there's just a lot of drivers up 3 spots. Nobody else has really done anything too exciting.
Yeah, it was a nice clean start, so no big incidents to take advantage of. Leith Swinney closing right onto the back of Bruce Tanek. Pulls out of the toe, and he's going to get alongside into the braking zone. It is a corner where if you can survive turn 1 on the outside, you then get the inside for turn 2. But Bruce hasn't been able to do that, and he's going to tuck in behind and see if he can pick up a draft to return the favour, I guess.
Yeah, we know Bruce never gives up easy.
Bruce giving up easy would be like Sean not giving anybody a Mac tap.
Yeah, has that still been happening? Is people complaining of that still? I think it's. I haven't heard anybody use that term in quite some time.
Well, there was a moment at the start of this. Oh, who was that going off? That was Shane McLeod, I believe. Yeah, he's gone around, had a big slide. Somebody's taken to the gravel to get around all that, and Shane trying to work out the best way to get back on track, ends up backing up over that sausage curb, and then is able to get clear track to rejoin, but that's dropped him right to the back, unfortunately. What I was about to say was, in connection to the Mac attack, there was an incident that Sean was found to be at fault of at the start of this season, and the call was made that if his driving standards didn't improve, he would have to make a donation to charity. Although he was penalised again in the last couple of weeks, and it was decided that he had enough clean races that requirement was no longer in place.
I said, been a good boy.
Well, mostly.
Yeah.
I think the moral of that story is mostly he's been a good boy.
Yes, right. So Thomas McCall here running around in 9th position. We've moved on to Nico, so he's still fighting with Blake Greenhall here. So be lucky. How good? No practice. Out there, doing it.
Yeah, so we saw Blake jump Nico at the start. Nico qualified on pole and is keen to try and find a way past. I think that gap had eked out a little bit at one point, but obviously as the tyres have got up to temperature, Nico's been able to get into his rhythm and putting that pressure back on, but just hovering around that half a second mark at the moment. We've actually got Thomas McCall closing in on Jonathan Turner, and they are going to go side by side. And sorry, it was Wayne Hartnell closing in on Thomas McCall, and still going side by side.
I hope they're in a chat together and having an absolute blast, because that's what it's all about, eh? Getting out there and racing with your mates, and that's what these boys are doing. Love it.
Absolutely.
Love watching it.
So Wayne's been able to get that pass done, but Thomas not letting him go, still within half a second of him at the moment.
Taylor Mitchell, first car into the 128s in the GTP class, fastest lap of the race that time round.
Mac has got some pressure on him coming from Darren Lobb, working his way up through the field. Darren pulls out of the draft, has a think about it. Sean very good under brakes there to defend against Darren, not giving him the opportunity to fire it up there.
Yeah, and hopefully being careful and not taking out team boss in front of him.
Oh, you wouldn't want to do that, would you?
No, you want to get this done as clean as you can. But yeah, having I think he's definitely holding Lob up, isn't he?
He is at the moment. I think if Sean was to take out Steve, I think Steve would probably be contacting you pretty quickly to see if you can bring back the old KRF poo car from back in the day.
Yeah, no, I remember Sean wearing that dress. Sorry,
Oh,
Mac.
Bruce Tannock dropping back. So I think he's had a little bit of a moment there somewhere. I have got some data on that. Been a pretty clean
It'll
race
be,
so far. The only data we have got is firstly that crash that we saw from Shane McLeod, which I will have a look at in a moment once this all settles down.
you know, our teammates here, one in a Mustang with the Falcon paint job.
Alright, so we can go back and have a look what happened to Shane McLeod. So he's swept around the outside of the BMW and just got unweighted in the rear, and those guys following him through doing a great job to get around him cleanly.
Yeah,
That,
everybody getting through there pretty
yeah,
well.
I think that was Peter Vanderberg that cut through the gravel in a Chaz Mostert livery. Oh no, so it was Peter yeah, sorry, it was Peter that cut through the gravel, and I think that was unrelated to Shane's crash. I think that was just Peter getting in there a bit hot in his own little battle with Darren Lobb and ended up sailing on through. And then Bruce Tannock, this is what happened to him. So he coming up to the same corner and exactly the same thing, just getting into that apex, losing the rear, and locked up the front brakes to, it looked like that was something he did deliberately to help him get control back. So
Yeah, well, there's one man that knows how to handle getting sideways. It's Bruce Tannock.
absolutely. And he, for what was looking like a pretty catastrophic moment, he managed to get away with that with not too much damage to his race position.
Yeah, back wide there, he's still going hard. Just a few GTP cars floating round back through the field now, so that'll be the first time the GTPs have gone round through the field.
Yep, so the GTP class has caught up to the GT3 class and putting them one lap down and working their way through that traffic at the moment. Jack Hunt's doing a good job of that so far, and he's actually been able to open up a little bit of a gap over Dan Turner since we took that shot, so good work from him to clear that.
Yeah, so all the GT3s now have been passed. So yeah, so we'll be looking to probably see them go past another couple of times.
Yeah, that's right. Much quicker lap times for the GTPs. So for a bit of a reference, Taylor's got the fastest lap of the race on a 28.9. Fastest GT3 lap so far looks like Darren Lobb on a 42.5. So that's another nearly 15 seconds, about 14 seconds difference per lap. So you can see that it doesn't take long on what is a minute and a half lap to come around and lap those guys.
Yeah, it's a second and a half quicker than Nico Cortier's fastest lap too. So Lobby probably just having to get through a bit of traffic at the moment, whereas Nico's probably got a little bit of clear air.
That's right, so Michael Vanderhaas and Christian Jenkins in a bit of a battle here as they're still currently working their way through some of that GT3 traffic. Oh, there was a big wobble for Brett O'Keefe there. In that moment, I think just held Kristen up a little bit more as well, but once he did manage to get around, he managed to take that opportunity to put a little bit more of a gap on Michael, so it was sort of leveled itself out in the long run. But this is looking like a very interesting battle between these guys at the moment, and Wayne Hartnell has just got around Thomas McCall for P9, and they too are still working their way through that traffic.
Yeah, look to be around Jason Bigby there in the Hilton Haulage Beamer. So he's currently running 5th in GT3 class.
A little bit of a gap for these guys now, but I do have Leith Swinney just up the road and BJ just ahead of Leith.
Yeah, BJ got 5 seconds behind Blake, and yeah, Blake and Nico still going at it, still going toe to toe.
And look at the closing rate there as BJ was swinging across to take the racing line, and Wayne had to think pretty quick to make sure he got back to the left there. But good driving from both guys there to execute that pass cleanly. So you mentioned Blake 5 seconds up the road from BJ, so we can see here just how quickly Wayne's going to close down that 5 second gap. You can see Blake already getting quite large in that windscreen, and as he flies down the front straight, he's going to close. He's going to be on him right at the braking zone for turn 1. Good decision there to just brake early and not try and make the move in the corner. And then he takes the opportunity to go around the outside of this long sweeper, and he might just reel Nico in here as well and gets that one done. But did not take long for him to close that 5 second gap, did it?
No, that's super quick. I've tried to drive these cars. Yeah, that's just a bit too fast for me. And another thing I can't fathom is, I'm using pedals and Christian and Dan Turner Christian Jenkins and Dan Turner out there, they're doing it with their hands. I don't know whether that's an advantage or a disadvantage, but the equipment they get to add on to their, that they're using with their hands is pretty cool.
Yeah, it sure is. I can't always. I believe that's Nico going very wide in the background there, and he's just lost position to Blake Greenhall, so Blake back to the front.
Yeah, with a little bit of a buffer now.
Yeah, so that was
3 seconds.
That was a big moment there. It wasn't even until I clicked on that I registered that Nico had been our race leader at that point. So it was a bigger moment than I first realised. So we can go back and have a look at what went wrong for Nico there. So he comes into the corner a little bit unsettled in the mid-corner, and just that correction took him out onto the gravel. And choosing to rejoin across the gravel rather than taking the alternative track there to the left, and comes back on, and yeah, has some work to do now as he's now 3 seconds behind Blake Greenhall.
Yeah, and that sort of buffer can be hard to get back, but 50-minute race tonight, no compulsory pit stop, but of course they're going to have to stop for fuel. And you'd expect nobody would take tyres, because you'd think that they'd get through all good. Well, you hope so anyway, wouldn't you?
Well, the tyres should last the distance, but I mean, there's always going to be some performance taken out of them, and they should be able to cover for new tyres with the fuel they're going to need to take anyway, I would imagine. So I personally would think you would take tyres, but then of course you have to deal with another warm-up phase, and sometimes that can be a factor as well. So I don't know, some may choose to leave the hot ones on there and just trust that they're going to stay together till the end. But if you do put new ones on, once you do get them up to temperature, there is going to be a pace advantage there. So it'll be interesting to see who does what.
So there was a fuel restriction in the cars, was there, Shane?
That's correct. I believe the GTPs are restricted by 50% and GT3s by 60%.
So no fuel saving chance at all. Nobody will be able to save the fuel, you think?
If they did, I would be very impressed.
Yeah, but you never know. But yeah, if that was if it was in fuel saving abilities or not, it was more.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I believe everybody will need to take a stop. I think you would probably have to run around at road speed to be able to save enough fuel to make it without stopping.
But yeah, so 52 litres in the Audi that I'm in, and it's saying about 24.5 laps of fuel.
Yeah, so more than likely, well, pretty much guaranteed these guys would have to stop. And just to clarify, when I say road speed, I'm not referring to the autobahn. I'm also not referring to boy racers flying down the Midwestern at 200 k's an hour. Northwestern, I should say, not Midwestern. I don't know where I got that word from.
Big word.
Yeah, but
I'm
no,
just
very much I'm very much talking legal speed limits. So cruising around, even say less than 100 k's an hour. Even if you're doing 100 k's an hour, you probably wouldn't make it.
I've managed to click on Nico's screen. I've got that open. I've got Nico's point of view as another option.
Oh, very cool. Is there any data there that might be useful to us?
I'm going to go full screen. Hang on.
I mean, don't give away anything that's going to give away any kind of a strategy and give Blake or anybody else that's racing Nico an advantage. But anything of interest there?
I'm just going to study it. Give me a minute. There's a lot to take in here.
Meanwhile, Jack Hintz has made his way up into a podium position, but he's got Dan Turner not too far behind at the moment. Actually, something's happened to Taylor. No, yeah. Taylor's in amongst the GT3 field and fighting them for position. So he's
Wow.
jumped to the pits. This is Taylor jumping to the pits. Well, it's gone straight to the scenic cam, so it's not even going to give me any data on that. Maybe something here. So this is with Darren. You know what? I think it's an internet issue because I think that's why it's going to the scenic as soon as I click on his name there, because it hasn't picked him up. So I think he's had packet loss and has just made his way back out there recently and is now finding his way back through, and he is currently about a lap and a half behind the man who is now leading the race, Aaron Goodrick. And while we're looking at that, actually, Dan Turner has managed to get by Jack Hintz for P3.
Yeah, can confirm Taylor Mitchell has had packet loss at some point. We've lost Shane McLeod and Bruce Tanacle, so they've called it a night.
So this is Dan Turner passing Jack Hintz for P3. So, Jack's managed to survive on the outside of turn 1, but then hasn't been able to fight back with the inside line at turn 2, and then Dan's just swept through at turn 3 there.
The other than my team that I'm a part of, KRF, those Team West boys they're getting my vote for what an awesome tank they're coming up to be.
Yeah.
Chris Zalowski in the Racecraft's Mustang, not too far behind Sean McNamara.
Yeah, so he was actually much closer when I clicked on him, but he's just dropped back a little bit, maybe just backing off to allow that GTP to get through, and then he'll put the hammer down again now and see if he can put some pressure on.
Yeah, so I reckon there might be about 5 laps of fuel.
Yeah, they must be getting close because they're approaching the halfway mark.
Yeah, so I forgot what I I had looked at Nico's stream. That's right. We got sidetracked. Yeah, so he was gonna need fuel. He had about 30 something litres left when I looked. So I believe from what I can hear, his spotter that's in my ear, he's gonna have to take fuel pretty soon. Hope
Okay,
that's
so
not giving it away to anybody.
well, no, because unless he started with less fuel, which would probably be a bit silly because it just means you're going to have to add more fuel at your pit stop. I would imagine everybody's in the same boat, so I don't think that gives any sort of strategy plays away. Of course, when
Oh,
they choose to come in is entirely up to them. We are getting very close to that halfway mark now, so for me, if I was changing tyres, I would want to be getting in pretty much bang on that halfway mark or as close to it as I could possibly get.
a couple of Team West boys, Christian Jenkins and Thomas McCall, just been in the pits. Both of them just come out now. So Darren Goodrick now in pit lane as well from the lead. And in come the GT3s as well. We got Blake Greenhall and Nico Cordia. See if Leaf's gonna. No, they stayed out. Yeah, I don't know whether they. Yeah, I would have gone as long as I could, especially if you had a little bit of clear air in front of you as well.
Well, my view is if you're doing tyres anyway, you get the best out of, or the best you can out of both sets if you do the equal amount on them. So if you're not putting it halfway, then you're just running more on one set than you need to, and less on the other set than you need to. So, but in saying that, there's other variables that come into play as far as who you're racing. If you might have an undercut opportunity, you can get some fresh tyres on. I think with the tyres these guys run, probably the overcut is more of a factor because they do take a couple of laps to really get up to temperature. So potentially if you're running behind someone and you saw them come in, you might run a lap or two longer and see if you can um, get a margin while you're on warm tyres and then get in to
Matt.
cover them. But yeah, for me,
All good, Thomas.
my
Thanks, mate.
preference anyway, if you're racing all by yourself, is to just split the race halfway in the middle, and
Cheers, Chris.
that just gives you the optimum range across both sets of tyres.
Yeah, tires. They're always on your mind when you're playing this game, the racing game that is. Strategy. You know, you give them a 50-minute race and just not quite enough fuel. Oh, that was a dicey into pit lane there. Daniel Johnson in the lane.
Yep, so Daniel coming down pit lane there. Actually, something that's quite helpful with these cars, as we see Daniel go up on the jacks, that means he is absolutely doing tyres. You can't use that with the V8s to make that assessment because they always have to be up on the jacks when they're doing fuel, but these cars do not have to be up on the jacks when they're doing fuel, so we know that if they go up on the jacks, that means they are doing tyres. Although he wasn't up on the jacks for long, so I do wonder if potentially it was only one or two tyres.
Being that it's a Corvette, I'm sorry, but it was probably just chewed out. All the tyres would have taken 4. The alignment's probably shot.
Well, I mean, I'm just basing it on how long he was on the jacks for, and I know that with these cars, they can only do one tyre at a time, and I would have expected them to be up on the jacks a bit longer than that if he was doing 4 tyres. But I didn't have a timer on it, unfortunately I can't even look at the pit stop time because that's just going to tell us how long it was getting fuel for. Because he certainly took a bit of fuel after the tyres were done, but yeah, for me it just didn't look
15.
long enough before.
Yeah, 15.2 2.8. I've got him up on the jacks.
Oh,
Um,
I think was that Chris Zalewski having a spin there. Or I could bring out
yeah.
my inner Wayne and refer to him as Chris Zewski.
You're in a way and you've had a bottle of wine. Yeah,
Taking a
he's on his
little
way.
while to get back going, but able to find that clear track now, and we've got some data on that all by himself. And this corner's been a hot spot tonight, hasn't it? Again, just losing the rear, spinning to the inside where the others have gone to the outside, so maybe a bit of an indication of the balance on that Mustang there. Front engine, which is potentially a factor as well. Potentially the weight of that engine pulling him forwards where I think, well, what was
Yeah,
Bruce running? Bruce was running a Mustang as
Mustang.
well, so weight
Yeah, I was
balance
going to
was
say
a bit more
two
similar.
Mustangs and a Ferrari have given us the old spinny there tonight.
And actually, Bruce did get a little bit of forward momentum in his spin as well, although it was much later on and after he locked the front wheels, but he got that forward momentum. Where I think the Ferrari that we saw go around really did just keep rolling backwards, so I think that was probably an indication of that weight in the rear of the car just pulling him backwards.
20 laps in, Kano. Dan Turner currently leading the GTP class. Michael Vanderhaas in second. Wayne Hartnell down the lane. Darren Lobb in the lane as well. So that's from the lead of GT3.
Yeah, so this will be interesting to see where Darren rejoins, because he was obviously working his way through the pack. Darren's taking tyres. So he's been up on the jacks for quite a while now, so this to me looks more like 4 tyres. And based on the fuel that we've seen some others take, yeah, he's gone as soon as he's dropped, so I would say he was probably even waiting for the tyres to be finished after the fuel was done. He's going to come back out. He's already gone behind Blake Greenhill. Brett O'Keefe
And
just goes by there as well, and Leith Swinney side by side as they get down to the braking zone, and he's just going to be able to slot in front of Leith. So now he'll look to bring those tyres up to temperature and then continue moving forward. Meanwhile, we've got Michael Vanderhaas on the lane as well as Dan Turner and Jack Hintz. So these two guys have all come out of the top 3 positions in GTP, and they're all sitting in the lane now, and they've already dropped back behind Aaron Goodrick. Dan Turner gets underway. Jack Hintz, I'd imagine, will follow him. Oh, Jack's still sitting there and goes now, so he's actually lost a position to Michael Vanderhaas in the pits. So Jack drops down to P6. Pit time. Jack was just over a second longer in the pit bay than Michael was. So not a huge discrepancy there, but enough to lose that position anyway. And while Michael's on the recovery after dropping down early on, he's down currently 3 spots from where he started, so looking to see if he can get back towards the front. Nathan Gardner in the pit lane now from GT3.
yeah, I'm just having some connection issues.
Oh, that's annoying. Meanwhile, we've got Sean McNamara bringing his Ferrari into the lane. And Jonathan Turner looks like he is going to complete the pit stops for GTP. So Matthew Gerard goes back to the front. Aaron Goodrick has moved up to P2. Sean leaving his pit bay now. And Jonathan
Hopefully that's worked itself out.
Jonathan dropping back behind Jack Hinks here. Kristen Jenkins was just coming around the final corner there as Jonathan was setting off, and it's going to be pretty tight when they get down to turn 1, but I think Jonathan should be able to stay ahead here, and does so.
Right, so that's Kristen there behind him.
It is, and Chris Zalewski has just completed his pit stop in his Mustang, back to 22nd now, and he was the last of the field to take a pit stop. So we've now got everybody having pitted once. I believe everybody should be fueled to the end, although actually Taylor Mitchell putting on lap 9 with that that packet loss, so potentially he will still need to come in and grab some fuel at some point. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but he has not yet made his way back onto the lead lap. He's still got Dan Turner, Aaron Goodrick and Matthew Gerard a lap ahead of him at the moment, but I think that is Dan Turner just ahead of him, so he's getting on with trying to get himself back onto the lead lap, but potentially still needing to come in and get some fuel to be able to make it to the end.
Yeah, well, so just 15 minutes, just near on, left in the race. So, well, with that packet loss, there could be that, yeah, he might have the fuel to be able to get home. If he's taken fuel while he was in pits.
Well, I imagine he would have.
Yeah, but if you've got your car set up for your pit stop set up, if you go to pits, it normally will do your pit stop. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. A bit of fuel saving though, probably to get home from that early.
Yeah, because it was lap 9 that he pitted versus everybody else's sort of 16 is the earliest I'm seeing, or 15 in the GT3s, but as far as GTPs, there's a couple of 15s there with some of the Team West guys, Kristen and Thomas McCall, but yeah, lap 9 certainly very early. I'm not sure he's going to have enough fuel to make it to the end, so that would be a bit of a double whammy there for Taylor, unfortunately, but I guess that's just the way things go sometimes. In real racing you have mechanical failures, in online racing you have internet failures, and meanwhile I think we'll just yeah, that's right. Meanwhile, I think we've just missed Nick Accordia getting back to the front, as he is in front of Blake Greenhall at the moment by half a second, but Blake's certainly not letting him go at the moment.
No, those two right where they started the night, 1 and 2 in class, and still at each other's heels. We see one of the Team West boys here going around them.
So this might have been a swap that happened in the pits actually, because I can't see any data on Nico passing Blake.
3 seconds difference in the pit stop time, and just under 4 seconds difference in the pit lane transition.
Oh, that was I think Wayne Hartnell just going off track there. Looks like it was. He's rejoined, and I think he managed to do that without losing a position. He must have, because Thomas McCall is 28 seconds up the road for him, so he certainly hasn't just passed him, has he?
No.
And while Nico's been able to pull that gap out to just under a second at the moment, so certainly showing good pace. What he won't want to do is make another mistake similar to what we saw earlier, where he went sailing wide up at the right hander onto the back straight and allowed Blake to breeze on by.
We might have to bring Blake in and see how he's feeling. It'd be rude not to, Shannon.
Well, I would have thought it might be rude too, considering the amount of pressure he's probably under at the moment. But anyway, Corey's dragged him in here kicking and screaming.
No, Blake, you absolutely love this. This is what you thrive for, isn't it, mate? You love getting into a good battle and talking us through it.
I do, although it's going to be interesting with Nico. I think he's got the edge over me. And then Darren is coming up very, very hot from behind. So if he can catch us, it'll be interesting.
Up from behind, 5.2 seconds to be exact.
How much longer is left to run?
12 minutes remaining. I was just about to say that. So getting into the business end, he's going to have to work those tyres quite hard to get to you. So you never know. You might be able to hold him off.
Yeah, fingers crossed, eh? We shall see. But you guys might be able to fill me in on what happened at the pit stops. Has Nico jumped me in the pits?
Yeah, we did see
Yep.
that. We're not sure why.
I did change tyres. I'm not sure whether he may not have.
He might have just taken 2 or 4, or
possibly.
just never know.
It did look like some might have taken 2. I was going to ask you the question: were you waiting for the tyres to be done after fuel was completed?
Oh, you know me, mate. That question's far too technical for me.
Well,
Just sit there and go when it tells me to go.
based on how long we saw Darren sitting for, that was certainly longer than, well, actually longer than you even sat there for. So I think 4 tyres it looked like did take longer than fuel. So I think potentially Nico might have just done 2 and was able to go that little bit quicker once the fuel was done.
Interesting.
But we'll let you get back and finish your race there, mate.
Yeah, thank you, boys. It'll be interesting to see how it closes out, this one.
Good luck for the rest of it, mate.
Yeah, thank you, boys. And we'll catch up with you later, eh?
Cheers, mate.
Yep. Podium yarns are always on, my friend.
Oh, see if we can bring it home, eh?
All right, good luck, bud.
Thanks, boys.
Well, thankfully he hasn't thrown it away while we had him in here, so...
He never does. He always does something. He does something freakish, like that pass. Was it you in the Detroit? No, me and Wayne commentating Detroit in the V8s, and we pulled him in, and he was talking to us while he made a pass the corner after the fountain, the right-hander on up to the last sort of 3 corners at Detroit, and he went down the inside and he talked us through it. It was just so good, brilliant. It's one of the moments for the season for me. And of course the season is going to be drawing to an end in a matter of weeks now.
Yeah, not long at all. 3 rounds remaining after this one. We're currently in round 9. And of course coming up, starting next month, we've got the Simplex Enduro Cup. That kicks off on the 22nd of September with the Sandown 500, and then in October, I think the weekend after everybody comes to Taranaki and has a piss up to watch the real race, you can all go home and do the virtual Bathurst 1000 on iRacing with us.
27th of October.
That's the one. Might be a couple of weeks after the real thing actually, so you might even get a weekend to recover. So yeah, Simplex Enduro Cup, if you're keen to do some V8 Enduro racing, get your sign-ups in. Free for league members, $15 for non-league members. But an interesting little thing there is the race, or the first race actually takes place after the start of our autumn series, which means we'll put a little caveat in there that if you're not currently a member, but you decide you might want to sign up to our autumn series and you sign up to that and pay, we're going to give you free entry for the Simplex Enduro Cup at that point as well, because obviously by the time that the series starts, you will be a paid up member. So a little bit of a 2 for 1. You can get yourself signed up now to the Simplex Enduro Cup. Tick the little box that says I'm not a member now, but I'm going to sign up for the autumn series, and then watch out for that that spring series, not autumn. Watch out for the spring series sign-ups to come out, and then you can grab that, jump in, and have 12 weeks of awesome racing, including a couple of V8 Enduros there.
Yeah, and we potentially could see the first person to get the quad crown, Shana. Have you heard about that yet?
I have heard about that. I watched Tuesday night's stream this afternoon and heard all about it.
Yeah,
And
so
that
he's currently
man,
in third, and he's cut that gap behind Balaki down to 3.7 seconds now.
he is closing in, but that time is ticking down. Less than 7 minutes remaining there. Yeah, so he's leading the Div 1 Supercars Championship. He's leading the MRX Enduro Cup for the V8s. He's leading the GT3 Championship, and he's also teamed up with Bruce Tannock, I believe, in the teams
Yep.
battle, and they are leading that. So on track to take out the quadruple crown this season, which, I mean, you guys were saying you don't think V8s and GT3s alone has ever been done.
But yeah,
Darren,
add in another couple in the mix as well.
yeah,
Yeah, that's outrageous. That's incredible. If he can pull it off, there's still a few rounds to go, of course. And as he said after the GT3 race last week, he didn't want to. He was happy to put it out there that it could be a thing, and I think he would have scared off any jinxes at all, because he is consistent. And it doesn't matter what he's driving; he's always consistent. I think that's key to his success here.
yeah, absolutely. He's always at or near the front. Even when he decides he's going to start from pit lane, he makes his way up. Gets always either wins the race or gets very close to it. Had a great
Yes,
battle with Bruce Tannock on Tuesday and wasn't quite able to get there, and that was even with the aid of closing the pack up under the safety car. He wasn't able to get to Bruce, so great drive from Bruce at Spa on Tuesday. But
yeah,
here he's,
4 laps, and he reckon he might have got him.
yeah, that's right. And here he's started from the pits again, and he's closing in, but it's going to be so tight, down to 5 minutes remaining. What's the gap? 2.5 seconds to Blake. And Blake's actually been able to close back up onto Nico. That's down to within a second. So this could get very spicy. In the last lap, we could have 3 cars within a second of each other for the lead of the race.
Yeah, it's poised to be something special. Another special one on a Thursday night. Thanks to Barry and the team at MRP too for sponsoring the HRP series on a Thursday night.
That's right. Big thanks to MRP. And want to get us some? Go and talk to MRP.
Get us some. Hashtag get us some.
Get us some.
Yeah, stickers coming soon.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah, so a couple of comments on the old YouTube. Yep, Nick saying it's a great looking dress. So obviously talking about the Mustang there from Scotty. Who, I'm not sure what happened to you, mate, but maybe it's too foggy.
Hey, Nick might be talking about the Pooh car as a great looking dress. We were talking a bit about the Pooh car a bit earlier.
Yeah, it's an OKMS special there by BJ too there. And yeah, so it was originally, if you took out a teammate, you had to wear that for the whole next week. You had to put on the Pooh car livery. I retired from racing to avoid it. Although I don't have a reputation for taking anybody out, so I'm pretty safe there. I'm normally the victim. Let's not open that can of worms, Shado.
Well, I'm just trying to think if we've ever actually raced on track together.
Maybe at the start. I sort of, when SuperCars NZ started, I sort of started racing and then found myself doing race control. I think I've just about covered everything off in SuperCars NZ.
You've certainly been a big driving force behind helping SuperCars NZ get running and keep running, so massive thank you for all the work you've put in to support us.
Oh, I can't take any credit for that. I just jump in and where I can and help where I can, and you guys, you appreciate me and I appreciate you guys. So yeah, no, it's always good fun, and we're just about up on a year of me taking on being a commentator, and it's definitely been awesome. There's been some awesome races, and I pulled some pranks on you, and that was pretty early in the knock knock. Uh, if
Yeah, fuck
anybody
you for
remembers
that.
that,
I
that's a
mean,
good
I
classic
mean,
one to
I,
go
I
back
didn't just say
and
that.
check out.
Um, so we suspect that Taylor Mitchell might be a bit short on fuel, and he got so close, but he's had to come back to the pits, and he's off and away again now. So I don't think he's even going to be able to get anywhere near getting back onto the lead lap, unfortunately. So that disconnect really set him back. But meanwhile, this battle is still unfolding. Blake not quite able to get close enough as yet to think about making a move. And still going on with that ever-present threat of Darren Lobb closing in. Just getting that track map up to have a look at where Matthew Gerard is on track. He's going to come around to do a lap now. We're inside a minute to go, so I think Matthews has started his final lap, and I imagine he's probably going to catch and pass these guys on this lap. So I think this is going to be the final lap of the race for these guys. So that will be very interesting. I don't think Darren's going to get there. And Nico's just been able to stretch the legs a little bit through the first sector, but can Blake work the GTP traffic to his advantage? Oh, there's been some contact there. That's only going to slow him down. The apology coming from Matthew Gerard, so Matthew taking responsibility for that one. But that has cost Blake valuable time in the battle with Nico Cordia. And Matthew getting past Nico much more cleanly, so that has not worked to Blake's advantage. And I think Nico, unless he has some issues with Aaron getting past him, I think Nico is probably going to have this one just about in the bag, barring any silly mistakes.
Wayne Hartnell's just done himself a mischief. He ended up in the fence, unfortunately for him. Getting to the last lap and having that happen it's pretty painful.
Yeah, it sure is. So Matthew Gerard coming through the final couple of corners now. Time's up. Checkered flag is out. He's going to come across the line and take P1 for GTP. Aaron Goodrick coming across the line a couple of seconds back in P2, and Nico Cordia takes out GT3 from Blake Greenhill. Dan Turner getting across the line just ahead of Blake there, P3 in GTP, and Darren Lobb managed to come across for third in GT3. So, man, all 6 podium finishes, unusually for what we used to see in the HPR series, all coming across the line very close together. I don't think I've ever had to rattle through the 6 podium finishes across the 2 classes that quickly as they've all come across the line like that.
Yeah, no, you did well though, Shane. Get it all out there. And one of those races that there really wasn't huge movers. Peter Vandenberg up 6 spots. Coming home in 18th. Biggest mover of the race. So it's unusual. And even incident points. Can I confirm? It's like only 3 people went over the limit.
Yeah, so Sean was criticising us for our DQ limit, but I mean, we barely had anybody go over the drive-through limit tonight, Sean. So I think you need to look in the mirror before you start criticising other people. That is very much tongue-in-cheek, by the way, if you didn't know.
We'll bring in Aaron. He's already keen to have a yarn. Aaron Goodrick getting second place in GTP tonight. Well done, mate.
Cheers, boys. Thank you very much. It was a bit of unfortunate, but I had a bit of a long stop. Obviously, ended up finishing with about 6 and a bit litres of fuel still. So I think they let Matt jump me in the pits and just couldn't fucking drag him back in, unfortunately.
And you enjoyed the race though?
It was actually, yeah, it was a good race. didn't have any close calls with any GT3 cars or anything like that, so the driving was pretty good, and that track sort of flowed fairly well for that car for the GTP, so it was good.
Did you happen to catch the moment on the final lap there as Matthew had a bit of contact with Blake making his way through there? And what if he did catch it? What were your thoughts at that moment?
My thoughts were I was watching him, and then I locked a brake and just about fucking shot off into the gravel myself. So yeah, that all was going on in front, because I would have probably been able to close like right up on the back. But I got past Darren, and obviously sort of was going down the inside anyway, and then kind of started watching what was going on, because there's quite a few cars around, and just didn't even concentrate enough on what I was doing, and watched the other boys have a bit of a tangle together. So that was very close call.
Yeah, I think it was
the second to last lap I got slowed down and ran off the track into the gravel, which didn't help my cause. But hey, that's racing. That happens.
Heap of practice here, and I knew I would make it about 40
Nick
minutes.
will be happy. MRX car got up on the podium and he's sponsoring the round. But is there anyone you want to shout out? So I see Thomas McCall managed to do himself a lid skid.
I have to say, unfortunately, Taylor was driving away with that race until he had computer dramas. So feel sorry for him. It might have been cool to have a couple of MRX cars on the podium, but unfortunately a bit of packet loss didn't help us course tonight. But no, just Nick, obviously MRX for all the sponsorship he does, and obviously all the assistance and stuff he does with the rig, and Rosetown Motor Group. So other than that, no, not so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, mate, and we'll see you out there next week.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for the race.
Cool. Cheers, Aaron.
Cheers, Aaron.
And we'll bring in Matthew Gerard. Matthew Gerard, a race win. You're pretty happy right now, I bet.
Oh, mate, I'm over the moon. I think it might be my first one of the season, at least.
Well, we did talk about it during the race that we were impressed at where you come over the last few seasons, and what do you know, you're right up there at the top tonight.
Yeah, look, I had a bit of luck go my way. I think it was one of the other boys who was out front at the start, and he disappeared. So whether he had a connection loss or something like that, I don't know. But no, it was good fun, eh? And look, I think it also came down to that pit stop. Once I saw Aaron head on in, I just needed to see how quick he was in the pit stop, and I just knew I had to beat it, and I think I did by about 5 seconds or so. So it was a perfect one for me.
Yeah, Aaron mentioned he was about five litres left of fuel at the end, so he overfueled a little bit there, and that was the reason for his long stop, where you obviously managed to get that fuel number right and managed to jump him in the pits. So that was a good effort there.
Yeah, 100%. I think I've finished up with about 1 litre, maybe 2 litres of fuel left at the end. So yeah, it was spot on for us, thankfully. But I'll take it every day of the week.
Anybody you want to shout out, mate?
Oh yeah, look, I may as well shout out to the missus. She's out the back looking after the kids and everything, while I go out and have a bit of fun. And shout out to all the boys on my team, which is Velocity SimLab. Thanks for all their help with my racecraft that I'm slowly building up.
Well, congratulations on getting yourself a victory in the GTP class tonight, mate.
Awesome, guys. Thanks very much, eh? And thanks to you guys for your work in the background too, eh?
Awesome. Thanks, mate. And I will bring Nico and I'll let you fire away. Hopefully we might get another person from GT3 in.
Nico, P1 in GT3. Well done, mate.
Oh, thank you very much, Shane. Yeah, finally this season I get the win.
So pretty tense at the end there between you and Blake. He was within a second start in the final lap. Unfortunately, had a bit of contact with Matthew Gerard making his way through and dropped back to a second and a half at the line. But that was a nice little battle there, wasn't it, at the end?
Yeah, it was a really good battle. I mean, I was lucky to come out of pit lane just ahead of Blake. I think he took tires. I think he did.
Unfortunately, big thanks to Steve Barron for that one. I'm kidding, mate.
I did about 100 laps here of practice, and I knew I can make about 30-35 minutes on one set of tires. and then it started to get real sketchy here towards the end. And at a 50-minute race, and especially with the battle that me and Blake had right at the start of the race, I started cooking the tire back then already. So just looking at my Sim Hub info, I've used 70% of my rear tires, so they were gone. But I felt I had good pace tonight. I mean, I'm pretty happy with the pace I had in practice and qualifying. Putting it on pole was really good. And yeah, going into qualifying and then just see Blake pop up into P2, and then all of a sudden I'm screwing up. I'm not going faster, and then I made a PB, and yeah, pretty happy with that.
So
Oh,
we
well done,
saw,
mate, on getting that victory.
Oh, thanks, Corey. Yeah, no, I'm pretty stoked with the win. Finally, this season, it's come my way.
we saw quite early on in the race where you did actually have a fairly comfortable lead at this point. You had a moment at that right-hander onto the back straight and just took a trip through the gravel, which allowed Blake to get back in front. So what happened there?
I went into the corner. I think I just dipped the left rear slightly on the way in onto the grass, and as I put on the brakes, I got a bit of tail wab, a little tank slapper, and I tried to correct it. And obviously, with the GT3, it's not always the easiest thing to correct. So I just completely lifted off the fuel and just took to the grass and into the kitty litter. And the first thing that came to my mind is, there goes my lead. Blake has
Yeah, my
been.
eyes lit up.
And I'm like, there goes my lead. I had a nice little lead going after I got ahead of Blake, because he really made that BMW very wide. And um, yeah, I thought, okay, cool. I didn't lose 20 seconds. I lost 4 seconds. I need to push hard and just try and be consistent as possible. And I managed to make that margin up. And I knew to myself, as soon as Blake pits, I'm pitting, because if I go a lap longer and he takes tires, he's going to come out on his out lap. Is going to be brilliant. So I did the same thing, and then he still took tires. Uh, but yeah, no, look, I'm really stoked with that race, and having Blake in my rearview mirror for 90% of the race, within a second, was really pushing me to just keep it on the black stuff and try and keep as consistent as I could.
Yeah, so very interesting what we're hearing here because me and Corey had a bit of a discussion about would you take tyres, would you not take tyres. We both agreed the tyres would go the distance and you'd be able to drive the whole race on one set of tyres. But my opinion was that with fuel potentially covering tyres, I would probably do tyres. But obviously there was a little bit of difference there if you're doing all four. And even with only a few seconds that it cost you there, Blake, it was enough for you to not be able to get that position back in the end.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? There was a lot of chat beforehand about whether the fuel would cover tyres or not, and I was certainly surprised when Nico jumped off the jacks before me. That's for sure. But no, if he didn't change tyres, that was a brilliant run through to the end there. That was obviously with my fresh tyres on, so that was a great battle, Nico.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Blake. Yeah, no, look, I really enjoyed that. It got real sketchy here towards the end, and unfortunately, I saw Matthew hit you there towards the end, because I saw Darren catching up,
Oh
and
man, he was
because
flying, wasn't he?
he was flying here towards the end, because I noticed the gap was like 7 seconds, and I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have to stress about Darren at all. I just need to worry about keeping you behind me. And then all of a sudden, I look up, and it's 2.6 seconds, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, he's a machine, that guy. I don't know how he gets his speed, but yeah,
Yeah,
that was crazy.
I think his drug of choice is race fuel. But I really seriously enjoyed that. Thanks for that little battle there, Blake, and especially on the start, man. Congrats on taking it into turn one.
Yeah, I saw you trying to weave and warm up the tires, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I could just nip it down the inside.
No, it was real good fun. It was real good.
That start was really cool too because we'd watched the GTP cars fly through turn 1, 2 and 3 and then we panned back around to see you guys going side by side into turn 1 and then we saw Blake take the lead, so that was a real exciting watch.
No, I'm looking forward to go and watching the stream back tomorrow during my office micromanagement meeting. And
Hope Merv's
yeah,
not watching.
he can, because my boss knows exactly how much I feel about that meeting. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to watching that back. It's I think our pace here at the end was real close, Blake, because the margin went to 0.5 and then it extended to 0.8, then it went to 0.5 and extended to 0.8.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that, and yeah, good to see the GDPs having a good fight as well here towards the end, because there was only a small little margin between Matthew and Aaron as well when they came past us.
Alright, well, thanks for coming along and having a chat. Is there anyone you guys want to shout out?
Oh, just my good old teammate uh, Adam, just because he's gone through surgery, so that's why we haven't seen him for the last 2 weeks. So it's been a bit of a lonely road up here in SuperCars NZ for Team ANZ CRL, but yeah, he's on the speedy recovery and should be back in about a week or two.
Blake, anyone you want to shout out?
Oh, just a big thanks to you guys, and all the drivers that turn up and devote their time to the league and the admin. It's gone from strength to strength over the years. A lot of us have been here since very early on in the COVID days, and yeah, to see the iteration that it's come out in now is very cool. So if there's anyone out there that's watching that's on the fence about getting in and having a go, highly suggest you get a cheap Logitech wheel and give it a bash. It's an addictive drug, and yeah,
Get us some.
great community of guys in here, that's for sure.
Get us some.
Get us some.
Get us some. Get us some. Yeah.
Thank you, Blake, for the very kind words, but we couldn't do any of it without our awesome drivers, and you're one that's definitely supported the league for a very long time, so thank you very much. And even Nico is a newer member, but certainly very dedicated to the league, and we just love guys that are dedicated to good racing and want to come along and have battles, and you guys gave us an awesome one tonight.
Awesome,
That's
thanks
awesome.
guys.
Yeah, thank you boys, appreciate it.
Yeah, I really do appreciate all the work that you guys put in on the back end. So yeah, thanks for that, and catch you next week, Blake.
Yep, we'll see you there, boys.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, well done, boys.
Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
Alright, so we can roll through some results before we sign off. So Matthew Gerard taking out the win in GTP from Aaron Goodrick, Dan Turner rounding out the podium. And then just in behind, we've got Michael van der Haas 4th, Jack Hintz 5th, Kristen Jenkins, Jonathan Turner, Thomas McCall, Taylor Mitchell coming in home P9th, and Wayne Hartnell rounding out the top 10 and rounding out the GTP field. And then Nico Cordia taking the win in GT3 from Blake Greenhill, Darren Lobb bringing it home on the podium there. Leith Swinney in 4th from Jason Bigby in 5th, and then Daniel Johnson, Nathan Gardner, Peter Vanderberg, Steve Darren and Brett O'Keefe rounding out the top 10. And then rolling on down to Sean McNamara in 11th, Chris Zalewski, and then Bruce Tannock and Shane McLeod both didn't finish the race. Alright, well thanks Corey for coming along for the ride tonight. Thanks everybody at home for joining in as well. Big thanks of course to MRP, sponsor of the HPR series. Contact MRP to get us in. And big thanks to our Raceweek sponsor MRX. Contact them to get us in. Thanks to iRacing for providing the platform for us to go racing on. And when you do get us in, get an iRacing subscription so you can come along and race with us. Cheers, everyone.
Definitely get us some.
Get us in. Get us in.
Get us some.
All right. Cheers all. See you next time.